What's up, passionate DJs? Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are looking at the brand new Pioneer DDJ-FLX4. This is a replacement for the DDJ-400, which was a very popular entry-level device. This is meant for people who are going to be either using Rekordbox or Serato. So that's one great thing about this entry-level device, is if you haven't really quite decided on a platform yet, this lets you try out more than one. You can also use this on multiple devices, PC, Mac, and even mobile devices. You can even do that over Bluetooth. So there's a lot to talk about here on this controller, so we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. We're going to talk about what else it compares to on the market, including the other unit by Pioneer that you see behind me, the DDJ-Rev1, which shares a very similar price point. We'll do a brief comparison of those and other things on the market, and talk about if this might be the DJ controller for you. So this is the Pioneer DDJ-FLX4. It's a simple, budget-oriented, handsome little DJ controller, meant as an apparent replacement to the popular DDJ-400. Now, one important difference is that it gives beginners the option of trying both Serato and Rekordbox software without really committing to them. In addition to Rekordbox Performance Mode, you get free use of Serato DJ Lite, which is upgradable via a Serato DJ Pro subscription. Now, regardless of the software you're using, you get access to the streaming services TIDAL, Beatport and Beatsource, and SoundCloud Go+, provided that you have the appropriate subscriptions, of course. Now, soon, Pioneer says early 2023, there will be a major update coming to the iOS and Android versions of the Rekordbox app, which will allow you to use this FLX4 to perform with it. It'll even let you do this over Bluetooth, which, if you think about it, is actually a pretty neat proposition. This controller could potentially feel a little bit like a standalone DJ system, in the sense that you don't have to have a laptop in the way. I mean, who doesn't have their phone on them at all times anyway? Now, there are also a few exclusive features, namely Smart Fader and Smart CFX, which are basically intended to help very green beginner DJs to start mixing and making cool sounding sets from day one. Now, the DDJ-FLX4 comes with a $299 price tag, making it a sort of sister controller to the already released DDJ-Rev1. Now, both of these are controllers which you can order right now from the people who made this video possible, the DJ Hookup. Now, you see, we work with the DJ Hookup as a major retailer of DJ gear, the highest rated one online, by the way, because it gives us access to a bunch of different brands without encouraging us to be biased towards any of them. But the reason that you should work with the DJ Hookup is because they have a best price guarantee, free shipping, 90-day returns, financing options, and the representatives in their little chat bar are passionate about DJ gear and will help answer any questions that you have. So head on over to thedjhookup.com and order your DJ controller now. Or continue watching if you still need a little help deciding which controller is best for you. So here we are looking at the top, and as you can see, this has a bit of a matte finish to it. Pioneer calls it matte gray. You might call it matte black. It's kind of a dark charcoal color, but it's not glossy is the point. And the jog wheels have a slightly lighter color than the rest of the controller, which you almost can't tell until you see it in exactly the right light. It is really nice and sharp looking, very handsome minimalist design, which is the kind of thing that I personally like in a controller at this price point. Something I like about Pioneer controllers, generally speaking, is that, you know, they don't look like toys. You know, if you have something small and compact and you know, budget oriented like this, it's easy to look that way. But this looks pretty nice, I think. You don't have any displays in the jog wheels, so that is one thing. You don't have any like position information here or a BPM display or anything like that, so you are dependent on the laptop screen or eventually the phone screen or tablet screen once that Rekordbox iOS and Android update comes out. But if you look here at the top above the jog wheels here, you'll see your loop controls. And so you can do an in and out here by manually selecting the in and out points of the loop, or you can just initiate a 4-beat loop right there, with one button press. Now, what if you don't want a 4-beat loop? Well, you can select it there, and then you can double or halve the loop size here, so you can see you have some loop controls there. So what you would do then is hit Shift to access these other functions here. So Shift, and then adjust the loop in half or double it from there. Up here in top dead center, you have your browse knob and your load buttons, so that if you're browsing your library, you can scroll and select which side you're loading in real easy. You've got your 3-band EQs with your trim knobs above, and then here you have your smart CFX knob. And these are basically like one knob solutions where you can turn them and it will do a sort of a chain of complicated effects that you might not otherwise know how to do as a beginner DJ. Unfortunately, the software that I needed to demo this didn't arrive to me on time for this video. So unfortunately, I can't demonstrate that or the smart fader effects in this video. So what I will do is come out with another video here in a day or two demonstrating that specifically. And then you also have smart fader. So let me just read from Pioneer what these things are. So smart fader allows artists to effortlessly transition between tracks with a simple glide of the crossfader or channel faders. After sliding the fader, the FLX4 automatically adjusts the track's BPM, volume, bass volume, and other aspects of the music to create a seamless transition into the next song. So essentially the idea here is if you're a beginner DJ and you want to make some cool sounding sets, but you don't really know how to do cool effects yet, and you don't really know how to mix, there is a whole lot of people out there who don't even call themselves DJs yet. They're kind of poking around and they're thinking about getting into DJing, but they don't want to buy a toy. They want to buy something that they can grow with a little bit, but they're not really sure if they're actually going to do that. This might be a forever hobby for them, or just something that they do on the side, or maybe they just want to get a taste to see if they do want to invest more into, some more expensive hardware in the future and that kind of thing. And so that's where this controller really comes in and plays a role. It's like, okay, it can be serious, it can do real DJing and controllery things, but also if you need your handheld a little bit, that's also fine too, and you can put together a mix that will still sound cool instead of sound like shoes tumbling around in a dryer. So if you look over here, you've got your beat effects section. You can select here whether you're applying these effects to channel 1, channel 2, or both. You can select them here and select all your parameters right here. Enable and disable right here, just like you would on a Pioneer mixer. You have your mic control right here for your mic level, and one thing that Pioneer really makes a big deal about with this particular controller is that the mic audio is in fact routed through the USB sound card, through the output. So if you're doing live streaming or something like that and you're talking on the mic, then that stuff will indeed go to the output so that you can interact with your audience or whatever it is that you do with the microphone in that sort of situation. Outside of that, we have the beat pads down here, and they feel basically exactly like the ones on the Rev 1. And that is to say they are not velocity sensitive, so that means that it doesn't matter how hard you push them, they're either on or off, and they click when you push them so that you can really tell and feel when they're being pushed. Very clicky cue and play pause buttons. Nice snappy feedback so that you know that they're, being engaged. And then you have these pitch faders, which don't have a huge throw, but they actually go a lot further than you think they do. And they are moved down here away from the jog wheels so that you still get some jog wheel size here instead of putting them up here like they would traditionally, or across the top in battle orientation as they do with the Rev 1. The jog wheels themselves feel really, really smooth. They don't spin a lot, like freely. Like you can see, this is about as far as they go. But you'll notice that they don't make any noise. like that you're hearing me bumping the casing here, but the wheels themselves don't make any noise. Really nice and smooth, and that gives it just a little touch of a premium feel on a controller that's otherwise, you know, admittedly plasticky. Everything's made out of plastic and stuff. I think that going with this sort of matte finish and leaning into that is the correct choice, rather than making it glossy and try to like make it fake fancy and catch a bunch of fingerprints. I think it helps it look sharp, and hopefully will keep down on the fingerprints and stuff like that. Faders and knobs, you know, all feel good. They feel like anything else in this price range from Pioneer, whether it's the outgoing DDJ-400 or the Rev 1. You know, they feel good. I mean, cheap as far as, like, you know, it doesn't feel like a 900 Nexus 2 mixer, as you wouldn't expect it to. But for $300, yeah, I would be happy. Not a whole lot to look at back here, but I do want to point out a few things. You do get master outputs with RCA here, so no XLR outputs, anything like that. It's not meant for that kind of professional level of like connecting to a club PA, you know, with a noise-free connection and all that. Though you do get an unbalanced mic connection, and that's where you actually connect it right there and adjust the attenuation or the mic volume right there. Kensington lock. Here we have a selection from Android for mono or stereo. That's not something that I can really mess with right now, I guess, until the new app comes out. So I do like over here where you can see there are two USB-C connections. You have one with a little power icon and one with a device, you know, showing some little devices. And the thing I like about this is, you know, as opposed to some other devices, like the, I think it was the DJI-MS5 mixer, it didn't have a way to connect a separate power supply. So if there's a situation that you run into where for some reason there's not enough power getting fed to the controller, let's say you're plugging it into some unpowered hub or something for whatever reason, I don't know, then you always have the option to plug in a separate power supply like that, which I think is a good, it's a good move, and helps with future proofing and stuff like that. So let's talk comparisons to other DJ controllers with a similar price point, and we're going to start with the DDJ Rev 1 because that is another Pioneer product. It's almost the same price, but there are a couple of differences. There's some slight design philosophy differences here. Now, if you want a little more in-depth version of what we're about to do, comparing these two directly to each other, in every way possible, I'm going to do another video specifically on that, but just briefly, basically the idea is that the Rev 1 has a different sort of approach to things like effects, where your effects are engaged by the paddles up here, like a DJI-MS series mixer, something like that. Whereas this has a more traditional, like Pioneer mixer style assignable effects with a button and the dial down there. You also have bigger jog wheels here, better for scratching. Basically, the whole thing is meant to be more of a battle style orientation, kind of mimicking the turntables in the scratch orientation, where you have the pitch faders up here instead of on the side as you see them down there. The thing is, though, even though these are slightly different philosophies, they're going to accomplish the same thing, right? So, like, you're not going to get one and go, man, I really should have got the other one. They're basically going to be doing the same kind of thing. There is a major difference in that the Rev 1 is a Serato device only. The FLX4 is geared more towards Rekordbox, though it also supports Serato, so you actually get more flexibility on this one. That one's pretty much a dedicated Serato device. Now, as far as Serato controllers from other brands go, you might be comparing it with the Numark Mixtrack Platinum FX or the Reloop Ready. The Numark has a leg up on the FLX4 in a few minor ways, such as by having displays in the middle of the jog wheels that give you track position info and stuff, and also those massively long pitch faders. It also uses paddle style effects if that's your preference. Now, the Reloop Ready is worth a mention because of its functionality for the space. It's designed so that it rests perfectly on top of a 13-inch laptop keyboard. It's USB powered, and it contains 16 RGB pads, 9 performance modes, and traditional controller style effects up at the top. And then one platform we haven't mentioned yet in this video is Traktor, and for that you'd be looking at the Control S2, but if you're a Traktor user, you already kind of know that. And so to wrap it up, the DDJ-FLX4 is a great starter controller. It's geared towards beginners or hobbyists, especially those who might be undecided on their platform. It's a controller that you can grow with. At the start, maybe you don't even know how to mix, maybe you don't know what beat matching is, or even the sync button, and you don't know what makes a good transition, but you're determined to learn. And you want to learn on something real, something that will function perfectly well as a DJ controller with professional software in which you can start building a library. In other words, if you're a super beginner, this is a great choice. Now that aside, it's also a solid option for someone who's looking for a backup controller or just something very portable. And again, the fact that the upcoming updates to the mobile app will turn these into a sort of pseudo standalone device is especially appealing for a $300 price tag. And so I hope you've enjoyed this review of the FLX4. I think this is a great entry-level device, especially because of the flexibility you get with the Bluetooth connectivity. That you can use it on mobile devices, you can use it with Serato or Rekordbox, and not necessarily have to commit right now, because a lot of people who are buying a device in this price range are either hobbyists or beginners or something like that, and they might not everybody, but a lot of people shopping for this will be somebody like that. You know, with the ability to use it with Bluetooth, with a mobile device, to use it on PC and Mac, to use it with Serato or Rekordbox without having to commit, you know, that's really nice for somebody who's maybe like, hey, I'm not like all in on a system yet, so I don't know where to look. So this is great for that, whereas something like, you know, like I said, the Rev 1, you kind of have to know out of the gate that you're doing a Serato thing. I don't know how much of a problem that is for people, but I know, you know, it's something we hear about a lot. We hear, you know, which platform should I go with, or should I stick with Rekordbox or Serato or something else? And the fact of the matter is, Pioneer's giving you an option here, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for this review. Thank you so much. If you think the FLX4, the Rev 1, or any other DJ controller is for you, once again, visit my friends at thedjhookup.com, and I promise they will take good care of you. Thank you so much. Take care, and keep on spinning.